Welcome to this small tutorial about how you can interface your ESP32 with the Spotify API and so control Spotify from your ESP. Spotify provides a really nice API which you can use if you have Spotify Premium. I'm not sure, I think you can use some of the functions also with the normal account, but most of them only work with Premium. You have a really good amount of functions. You can do nearly everything. You can transfer the playback, you can get the currently playing track, whatever you want here. And I built a library to wrap this a bit, which makes it quite easy to connect your ESP to that API. And so in this video, I'm going to show you how you can do that. So let's begin with that.
So first you will have to create an app from the developer and from the Spotify dashboard. So you go to developer.spotify.com. You open the dashboard. You see I have some apps there, but I will create a new one so you can see how that works. So we will create an app, some name. You can leave this empty. You can leave this. Okay, should do it. Website we can leave empty. The redirect URI we will leave also empty for now. We have to set that later as soon we have it, but we'll come to that. So we agree here, and we are planning to use the web API, so we are good. Seems we have to already provide one, so I'll just put in something. That should work. Okay. Well, now we have our dashboard here. You can see some stuff which is not really important, but it can be useful to see if something does not work with your app. So we'll click on settings, and now we have to copy the client ID and the client secret. So I will open Notepad here and copy these. We'll have to use these later. And this one here. Well, then for now we can close that, and we'll open the Arduino IDE, or you can use Platform.io or whatever platform you're using to program your Arduinos. So we'll open a new project here. Correct. And then you'll have to search for Spotify. See this one here, probably when you're watching this, a newer version is already out, which fixes some stuff, but this one has the same functionality, so we'll use this one. I already have it installed, so I won't have to do that again. So then we'll include that. We also need to include Wi-Fi, as we need to connect to Wi-Fi to use it. So then so I will quickly copy my Wi-Fi credentials from this sketch. You obviously have to put yours here, and then I will also quickly copy the function to connect to Wi-Fi. You can do that however you want or however you're used to doing it. I will just use this one here. And so in setup, we need to define the serial. And then we connect to Wi-Fi. So we call Exactly. And so for the library, we can either set our tokens from here or we set them during runtime. I will first show you how to set them during runtime, and after that we'll set them from already here. So we'll have some char, which is client ID, and another char, which is the client secret. And we'll pass these as arguments to the constructor. So you call the constructor by saying just Spotify, and then I usually put the SP, and so we have the client ID, client secret, and now that would be enough. Now you could pass your refresh token, which we'll get just in a moment, or what I have to do, I will pass a port which the server will run on. You by default use port 80, but if port 80 is used by some other ESP or so you have running in your home, then we'll have to set that. Then you could also set the debug mode, which will print a lot of information to the serial. I won't set anything, so it's default off. Then in the setup, we'll call Spotify.begin. And now we have to wait for authentication. So we'll do while this functions just gives us true if we are authenticated. And while we're not authenticated, we'll need to handle the web server. So we'll do that by calling this. And now if that run through, we're authenticated. So we'll just say and maybe to see if it actually works, we can say serial. And now I will call a function which is a part of the simplified functions. These functions just return strings with some information and not the whole information which you will get if you call the main function. So we can do this should give me the names of the current artists of the song I'm listening to on Spotify. So for that to actually happen, I'll just play and so we can see that afterwards. So that should be all. So I will upload that now to the ESP. That's gonna take a second. I haven't entered them here, so we'll copy that. Open our browser and go there. And now already we can copy this again and click on edit here on our the dashboard. And here for the callback URL, we'll just put this URL you got printed earlier and add callback, add it, and then click on save. And now this should work later. That's important for the next step. So we'll copy our client ID and our client secret. If you already have a refresh token, you can also paste it in here and then you don't have to do the next step. But for the first time authenticating, you probably will only have these two and will get the refresh token in a second. So we click on submit and then we get to the login, and here you have to log into Spotify. And you can see here I get asked a whole lot of comments which I can do then later from the ESP. Yeah, so we'll click on agree here. And now I should get authorized, and you see that worked. I have now the refresh token, which I can copy. I don't need to, it is already saved on the ESP, so just for the current runtime. But I will still copy it for the next one. Okay. And so we can close this. And you see, it printed the refresh token here too. It said authenticated, and then it printed the current artist I'm listening to, which is Anand My Can't Write. You can't see it, but here, that's the thing I'm listening to at the moment. So, well, this is nice to log in that way, but probably a lot of effort if you have to log in that way every time. So we can also make this here. You could also, from that point on, you could have declared some way on saving your tokens here, which you can get from the library. There is a function to get the tokens. Then you can save them to the file system of the ESP or whatever you want. But I haven't done that, so we'll just do this here. And this one is up here. And the ones we already had before. You can copy these again. One thing and the other one. And from now on, you won't have to open the browser again. It will just automatically use these. We have to pass the refresh token here. And you can delete the port. You don't need that. You actually could still put the port here if you were planning on getting these from your saved files the first time you will run the program. You won't have them, so you can pass them empty, and then you save them later, so then on next boot they will be put in there. So for that case you would have to put the server here, but we can leave that empty. And again, you can see you could set a debug mode. If something does not work, you will get a whole lot of information on what is actually happening. And also you can set the number of retries, which if 3 is totally fine. This just means that if something does not work, it just tries again to get the data, which can be nice if you, for some reason, have some server-side problems from Spotify or so. It will just try it again. Yeah. That much to this. And so you can leave this here. That will work fine. So what can we actually do? So you can, to see what are the possibilities, we can go to documentation of the Spotify API. So we go on the web API. And then you have the references here. So we have to get albums, artists, audiobox. Probably player is one of the most interesting, because here you can, for example, get the playback state or skip to the next song, skip the previous song. And all of these are implemented. And so you can look what you need here, and you could get a demo of how the output will look. In the future, we're planning to add a filter to it, so that you don't have to get the whole JSON data here, and you will just get the part you want. And at the moment, you will still have to use Arduino JSON to get your values you need. Exactly. So for example, we could try get the playback state. So this should be get playback. Current playback state here, you see. Yeah, exactly. And you can just print that because that will give you a response object. So we'll say response R is equal to this. And the response object contains the HTTP code. So we can say code. We can also just call, before I do myself, we call print response and pass R. So all the other functions return a response object, except there are like a few ones which are simplified versions, which just give you a text. For example, you can see here, if you go to the README file, there's this list which explains these functions. There are these here, which just return you a string of the current artist name, device ID, track ID, whatever you need. Then there are some helping functions like convert an ID to URI, where you can pass the URI of the song and add a type, for example, track or album or whatever, and it will convert that for you. And in order to use this, it's easier if you also put a namespace. Well, I have to look that here, Spotify types. And this namespace gives you some of these types you can pass there. So you can pass it's also written here, using namespace Spotify types. These are some types used in the library. For example, also for sizes, if you want to set some ID and you don't know how big it is. Oh, well, we got some weird issue here. That's interesting. We'll cut the video here and put that again later. So I found the issue, which was why it didn't work. That was related to client ID and client secret. I mistyped something there, so the wrong size got allocated for those two. So these were too short, and so it didn't work. I will just log in from the browser now to show you how the response looks. That will be fixed in a few hours, so you probably already have the new version when you see this video. Yeah, so we'll restart my ESP, and then we go again to our URL. Now we will just enter all the things. So ID, secret, and also the refresh token. So it tells you the credentials are successfully set. Obviously, if you mistype something, it will still tell you this. You will just see it later that it does not work on your machine. So we can open this, and now you see. Well, I'll make this a bit bigger. So we put our credentials in, then we went to Authenticated, and now we get a status, which is just a HTTP status code. you can look up what this means. 200 to 300 are all okays, so that will probably work. And now we'll get the reply. The reply is JSON, so you can use Arduino JSON to serialize that and then get the individual values. And for example, what do you get here? Here you get the device, and then you get an ID of the device, which you can use to transfer the playback to that device or whatever. You get which artist, the artist URI, you get the progress in the song, you get the cover image, and a lot of information. Yeah, that's basically it. You can use all of them. If you have any issues or so, just open an issue on GitHub. You can go to this GitHub. I will link that under the video, and open an issue here. And yeah, tell your problems or so. Also, if you have any requests for new features, write that there. Exactly. I hope this was helpful, and see you another time.